Plus 7 attack and speed, minus 5 defense and res. The Life and Death for Tempest Trials progresses, and we got another new hero to talk about. Got a bit baited last time, but who saw a new hero type coming? This time, it does seem very likely Ascended Eir will be happening soon. Her title is Life Ascendant, so I think it's guaranteed. She is the Tempest Trials boss and has taken inspiration from Ymir, who is now residing within Eir. I guess it's like a Byleth Sota situation. Ascended Eir will be a green cavalry dagger unit, and her in-game boss stats have high attack and speed, okay res, and hilariously low HP and defense. I do not trust those values at all, but I will say there technically could be a use for a horrendous 34 base HP stat. For her weapon, which is called Ymir Ever Living, it accelerates specials. If Eir initiates or fights a ranged foe, she gets plus 5 tall stats and bonus attack equal to 40% of the current HP of the ally, with the second lowest current HP excluding Eir, and you can get a max of plus 20 attack. Basically, if the second lowest ally has 50 HP, you get plus 20 attack. Additionally, Eir is going to get offensive Null Follow-Up, and if her own HP is above 25%, she gets Miracle. The only downside is that if Eir only has one or fewer allies, she gets no bonus attack, since it takes the second lowest HP stat. This Eir feels like a ranged Brave Zelef type deal. You fly in, you double with tons of attack, and you survive literally any counterattack. Currently, she does not have defense enough follow-up, so she might get doubled if she can't get the KO in that 2 hits. However, she could receive a bust new skill like Furum and Hardy Fighter. She might keep her Mythic C skill, or maybe get a new version of it, who knows. Considering Eir was the first unit with Mystic Boost, maybe we see Mystic Boost 4 because that might synergize with her Miracle effect. It would be a very fitting ability for Eir to pull off the Miracle chain like hell, or maybe symbolize her newfound power with the God of Life. Regardless, we know she is probably coming soon, so if that interests you, then you may want to wait a little before summoning more. Back to the actual rewards. As always, you can earn up to 42 orbs, 11,000 feathers, and 80 sacred coins. You really want those coins this month. This time, we got Ephemeral 10 Divine Codes and a Water Blessing for Legendary Ninian. For Sacred Seals, we got Oddspeed Wave, which is too OP, can't believe they added it in. Oh yeah, and we got no follow-up. Last, following his legendary sister is Halloween Nils, our reward unit. You can get a 4-star and 5-star copy. We'll talk about it more later on. For Sacred Seals, we got Oddspeed Wave 3. At start of odd turns, grant plus XP to the user and adjacent allies for 1 turn. It will self-buff the user even if allies are not present. For whatever reason, we kind of forgot about adding odd wave seals, so they're trickling in recently. Unfortunately, wave buffs have kind of been outdone in recent years. Generally, they fit in the C slot, and there are a ton of buffing options that work every single turn. For example, Joint Homes work every turn. You can use wave buffs when you're solo, but then rouse skills fill that role for infantry and cavalry. You also got the Oath self buffs. Back then, self-buffing in the seal slot wasn't too bad, but we have way more in-combat boosts now that are way more valuable. I would only upgrade these if you are desperate for a self-buff and you can't get it in the C slot for whatever reason. Moving on, we have arguably the star of the whole event. Null Follow-Up 3 is now a Sacred Seal. That is wild. Neutralize effects that guarantee the foe's follow-up attacks and effects that prevent your own follow-up attacks. This is for infantry units only. I don't know what's going on, but the developers have been on a no follow-up campaign for whatever reason. We got the infantry no follow-up C skill and infantry speed tactic, which also grants no follow-up to allies. Both of these provide ways for infantry units to receive no follow-up without spending a slot in their build. Now you can just slot the skill itself on any infantry unit, and it still lets you use a B skill. There are some crazy combos that a lot more units get to access. For example, Winder Water Sweep plus no follow-up lets you double without getting hit back. Temple plus no follow-up lets you get Bottom's Creator's Sword. You shut down so many things with those 2 effects. Desperation plus no follow-up is classic to double through follow-up prevention. Everyone questioned why Sothis got no C Disrupt instead of no follow-up as her remix skill. Well, this might be why. While no follow-up is powerful to mess with slower units, using it as a Sacred Seal would cost you a slot for extra stats. This may matter for super fast units who need to upkeep their speed like Flame Lyn. She wants no follow-up, yes, but Godlike Reflexes relies on a speed check. Generally speaking, it is better to get no follow-up from other sources like the 2 C skills or someone like Legendary Male Byleth. However, those provide the no follow-up status, which is different from the skill because it requires you to outspeed the enemy. With the no follow-up Sacred Seal, slower units like Micaiah or Leon with their free follow-up weapons can counter follow-up denial effects like Impact Skills or Halloween Naga's Serenity Breath. This is the same idea behind Dragon's Ire. This skill benefits faster units more, but there is still use on slow units too. Overall, while Null Follow-Up as a Sacred Seal may not be the most optimal setup, if you don't need more stats, then it's such a good perk, and you can make use of another potent B skill. This is must have, and you must upgrade this Sacred Seal. It does make you wonder if Null Follow-Up 4 or something stronger is in the works.
I'm pretty good with the flute. I bet I could liven things up with a tune or two. The candy you gave me is so pretty, it's almost a shame to eat it. Almost.
Our reward unit for this year is Halloween Nils. He may not be legendary like his sister, but Nils will be a free dancer and he's a green infantry dragon. For stats, he has 44 HP, 35 attack, 41 speed, 21 defense, and 35 res. He has a speed super boon, which may be fun to take, but keep in mind, dancers have a BST penalty, so for combat, you're at a disadvantage. Still, high speed is not a bad trait for a dancer. Not getting doubled is pretty valuable for survivability, although Nils has a pretty low base defense stat. That might be okay though because his HP is decently high and 35 base res is not bad either. Both of those can be used to run support skills. As for 35 attack, not that amazing, but Nils has a way to get some extra damage for himself. That actually is going to involve his inheritable Dragonstone, Surprise Breath Plus. 14 might. At start of combat, if unit has more than 25% HP, grant plus 5 attack and res to unit and inflict attack and res debuffs on the foe equal to 20% of the unit's res stat at the start of combat. This should seem very familiar because Surprise Breath is actually just the res version of last month's inheritable Flame Gunbai and Flame Mordecai's weapon. As a refresher, the attack debuffs scale off the user's res stat at the start of combat, which means flat stats only including buffs and debuffs. With 35 res, Nils will inflict -7 attack and res on the foe, and considering this weapon also gives you plus 5 attack, that's a pretty decent chunk of damage to help him out. The attack debuffs improve your physical and magical tanking, and you're going to get a plus 5 res and whatever stat refine you decide to choose. Very simple weapon, not bad if you want a dancer to survive if they need to fight. Like I mentioned last month, while you do want to have more flat resistance, you already get a decent chunk without going too crazy. 40 res will get you -8 debuffs, 50 res is -10. For Surprise Breath Plus users, there is one dragon skill that actually synergizes with this weapon very nicely. I'll talk about it more later on. For the rest of his base kit, Nils has Play, which is his version of Dance. It does not do anything special. He then has Geyser Dance 2, which grants plus 4 defense res to an ally. Nils refreshes. You also have Honed Dragons in the C slot. So, in terms of fodder, bad news is that all in Nils' kit is extremely niche. Dancer only B skill, Dragon only C skill, that is also a Sacred Seal, and then not a lot of dragons need an Inheritable Breath. Although, if you're gonna merge the new Halloween Naga, then Surprise Breath might be a fun option for her. As a dancer, Nils just needs to dance an ally and his job is done. Basically, you can buff allies, or you can buff dragons with plus 6 attack and speed, and then you can buff one of those dragons with plus 4 defense and res. Very basic kit. If you would like to merge Halloween Nils for the neutral nature, you're going to get plus 1 HP, speed, and resistance. He has that speed super boon, but for specific support skills, you may also want HP or res boons. In terms of free-to-play dragons, Halloween Nils is actually only the second green infantry dragon who is not 5 stars. The other option is Faye. He will be a free dragon dancer, but actually is not the first, technically because everyone can get the OG Ninian via the Hero's Path rewards. It will be much easier or cheaper to merge Nils up though. Now, it's been a while since we got our last demoted or heroic grow dragon, but because Nils is a dancer, he gets hit with a base stat total penalty. You'll notice that despite Halloween Ina being 2 BST generations behind, she has the same BST as Nils. If you want to use Nils combatively, you're at a disadvantage, and to make a really disgusting comparison, the 2 Halloween Corins on the banner have 192 or 193 BST. That's 16 more total stat points because Nils is a dancer and the Corins are trainees. Despite releasing at the same time, there is basically a 3 BST generation difference between Nils and those Corins, and you cannot make that up with Dragon Flowers. You can with merges though. A funny comparison is Faye, because despite Nils being a dancer, he has no support weapon to use. Faye's Eternal Breath actually does support her team with plus 5 field buffs to all stats. While Nils has better arena score potential without those skills involved, in terms of pure combat power, the only thing Nils has over Faye when you fully max them out is his speed. Faye is going to get 4 sets of more dragon flowers and another +2 if you have her resplendent outfit. We don't get many free to play dragons in general, so these two may stay the only green options for a long time. For the most part, Nils can be plenty useful solely just to dance an ally. His base kit is okay, but you can customize it with some accessible support skills. First off, Surprise Breath is actually fine to keep. I don't feel like you need to stack flat resistance, but something like Fury 3 and Res Refine would be fine. You would be able to take a Defense Refine as well. If you don't need Nils to fight often, Fury is a good budget option. More speed to avoid doubles and score his own follow-up attacks, plus you get just more upfront stats. If you keep his 2 support skills, you can slot in something like Distant Guard or any spur drive in that seal slot. Very flexible depending on your team. If you want some other support skills, Sabotage Res and Sabotage Attack are on Heroic Ground units. Nab either one, stack more flat res, and that benefits Surprise Breath as a bonus. You can also stack HP instead. That opens up Infantry Pulse or Panic Ploy. Young Boyd is an Ephemeral Commander this month if you're going to need more Infantry Pulse copies. Next, let's talk about the value of a Dragon Dancer. Nils gets to run all the Dragon Emblem team buffs. Despite having home dragons, you may instead want to shift it into the Sacred Seal slot because we have Fortified Dragons from Melkana. That way you don't need Geyser Dance to fully buff up a Dragon ally. You can customize this further because War Dragons is available as a C skill from Halloween Nils. It's also a Sacred Seal, meaning you can double stack it for +8 defense and res. This might be useful because this year we've gotten some very powerful armored dragons with save skill kits, pure defense from stacking on those super beefy units like Fallen Rhea, Ascended Eir, or even the new Duo Duma. Besides Emblem team buffs, a Dragon Dancer can fill a slot for Beast teams. It makes it easier for them to transform. Raisin or the Free Ninian can also fill that role. There are units like Fallen Rhea or Legend Eliwood who require a Dragon or Beast ally to activate their full potential. Fallen Tiki, who just got her refined, can also make use of a Dragon ally. Dragon Emblem may not be for everyone, but it's nice to have a Dragon Dancer for a variety of reasons. If you want to invest in Nils because you like him, then you have some fun options. First off, Surprise Breath synergizes with Dragon Wall. You get +5 res, and the res debuffs also help win the Dragon Wall res check. The attack debuffs make you tankier, and you get damage reduction. You can go double Forge Defense and res, but it's not fully necessary. Maybe just pick up a res boosting skill like Attack and Res Finish, Defense and Res Form, or you could run Defense and Res Menace as well. The main reason for Dragon Wall on Nils is to just survive so you can dance an ally. If you can stay safe, then Nils can run other support skills like Infantry No Follow-Up or Pulse Tie. Pulse Tie skills may be worth running to counter instant specials, including defensive ones, negating Fang, Godlike Reflexes, Hardy Fighter Abusers. Now is a very good time to get a hold of a Pulse Tie skill. On Pulse Ties on Fallen Ninian, who is on the Legendary banner, even Pulse Ties on regular Nils, who is on the Tempest banner, but I would instead wait for Halloween Kurt Naga's rerun. He's a 4-star focus unit from his Halloween banner, so a lot better chance to just get an extra copy from him. The other thing is that Fallen Ninian is an incredible dancer herself. She can run the skill, and she has way more supportive abilities thanks to her unique weapon and unique dance. That's kind of a slight issue with these free dancers. A single copy of a 5-star dancer like Fallen or Legendary Ninian just might be way more impactful in the player's hands. Nils with full merges might be harder to take out on a defense team or something, but some of these 5-star dancers are just so strong and you only need one copy. It does hurt a bit that Nils has no support weapon to try out either. With that said, don't let me stop you from turning Nils into a combative unit if you want. You can run attack and speed skills, maybe try Dragon's Wrath, maybe use the Null Follow-Up Sacred Seal. His low defense is a concern, so I still would not expect him to be long-term survivability. Something to consider for infantry dancers is the Oath 4 C skills. They are selfish self-buff skills, but the warping status might be worth having. Flying dancers have flyer mobility skills to do the same, but Oath 4 lets infantry dancers get on that warping fun. Of course, Wings of Mercy is the tried and true, but allies have to be low for that to happen. Overall, this is a wild Tempest Trials event. No follow-up as a Sacred Seal is crazy, and I expect to see it on many units despite maybe losing out on some stats. Remember, it's mainly used to mess with slower units, and at a certain point, more speed doesn't affect the fight, whereas no follow-up can drastically change things. Follow-up effects are everywhere nowadays. As for Halloween Nils, he is a free Dragon Dancer, and as always, more dancers are always appreciated. I think it's worth keeping at least a 5-star copy. While we have the free Ninian and Raisin to use for base team transformations, Nils can also run Dragon Emblem buffs. We got a couple Sacred Seal options that would be fun to use. With his good base HP and res, Nils can also fill in for other support duties. Infantry Pulse, Pulse Tie, Panic, Sabotage, or Ploys. You got some cheap and expensive options. For his own combat, that high speed is great, and Surprise Breath does add survivability and damage without needing to go super hard into the res stacking. If you want to pass it on, Surprise Breath has the neat synergy with Dragon Wall, and to be honest, it wouldn't be too bad with Dragon's Eir 4 either. It's a simple weapon, but not bad on dragons with any kind of decent or high base res. That's all I got for this video. As a reminder, we could be seeing Ascended Eir very soon, so spend your orbs wisely. Go and get these rewards, and thank you for watching. Next up, we'll be going over the Ephemeral 10 common manuals for this update. See you then.